Bill, you look like you have another question on your mind.
I do.
Okay. I thought so.
When you started recording Hillbilly Deluxe, was there a point in the first few songs where you and the band felt you really had it? You'd come back from that huge first album, but you knew you were even going farther?
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, we were anxious to get in and do and record. I think we knew the first day of tracking. We felt it. I remember us all just kind of going, okay, now let's show them the next gear. You know, it's kind of like coming out of the pit. We came out of the pit, took that first lap, you know. If you've ever watched much racing, they will roll out, start to build their momentum, their speed on their first lap. Second lap, they're starting to really throw it into the gears. And by the third lap, they're going for time, you know, to get a pole position. And that's what it felt like. We're going for time on this lap. We're going, and we're not even fooling around waiting until the third lap. We're going to get the pole position on the second lap. That's a weird analogy, but you asked this question that I had never considered before, and that's what it felt like.
And were you on your own? Because a lot of sessions with artists, you know, the label will come in and kind of like check out what you're doing, or maybe at the...
No, and again, I attribute that to the guidance of, this would have been 86, late 86, you know, by November, December. Lenny Warnaker told me something. He came and saw us at the Roxy. I told this story with him on the Greater Bakersfield show, actually, on Sirius XM. He remembered coming to the show. At the Roxy Theater. We did the debut of the album, of the re-release, in, I want to say like maybe it was either March or April. And again, Sherman Halsey had the wherewithal to, and the foresight to get Westwood One involved when they recorded that night. They put it out as a satellite feed to, you know, syndicated stations. And it's also on the Reprise Please Baby box set, but it's on the 20th anniversary of Guitars Cadillacs. It's the record release party for the album, which was in, I think, March of 86. And that was the first time I met Lenny. Lenny came out, and he brought Emmylou Harris and John Fogerty. So I met two of my heroes that night at the Roxy with Lenny. And the next day, Lenny called me at home. And I was sitting in my apartment and got this call from Lenny, and he said, look, you know, I just wanted to tell you, last night I thought was, you know, terrific, and it was great to meet you. He said, you don't know me, but my only piece of advice after watching you and your band do that show is to tell you this, that if anybody in this building, he said, my colleagues will strangle me if they ever find out I said this to you. He said, but if anybody in this building ever tells you to do anything that goes against your instincts, don't do it. So that was the best piece of A&R I ever got, and it came from Lenny Warnaker, a superb A&R producer, you know, going back to the 60s, you know, at Warner's when he walked in and began that journey with Mo. I was doing a movie, Panic Room, with David Fincher a few years ago. We were filming in town, but we were not on the Sony lot, which is a big enough lot. We could have probably done whatever he did. We were down below the airport at Raleigh Studios. And one day I said to him, David, Sony, the whole lot's there at your disposal. Why are we all driving an extra 40 minutes every day to come down and shoot here? Although those studios were fairly new at that point, and pitching to Spider-Man was shooting next door, you know, things like that. And he had built this huge Hitchcock-like set. You know, the whole thing of Panic Room, other than the New York portions of it where they were outside and exteriors, clear exteriors, the entire interior of that four-story brownstone and the street in front of it and police cars that came up and rain were built on a soundstage, which was amazing. He's an amazing director, and it was his homage to Hitchcock, and the opening of it was an homage to Touch of Evil, Orson Welles film, where there's the only time David did a cut in that opening follow of Forrest Whitaker coming in, going up to the top of the brownstone, the 4-story, and coming down was he pushed through. He did a CG for a split second through a coffee maker. You know, that was it. Anyway, so I said to him, "Why are we doing this?" And he said, "Because we're just far enough away that nobody from the studio can actually come see us during their lunch break." And I said, I get it. I get that. And maybe I was just far enough away from Nashville that nobody could certainly, we were in L.A. and based here and recording at Capitol Studio B. And we were really part of the Nashville division. That's how we were signed to them. So we were got to act like the grandkids at Warner Burbank, you know, and they didn't bother us because we weren't really their responsibility. And we were far enough away from Nashville that they couldn't come visit at lunch.
Hillbilly Deluxe is a great title of an album. Where did that title come from?
I thought about that, you know, and there was no song connected to it. I didn't write anything about it. I just thought if Guitars Cadillacs was the illustration of you know, kind of the invitation to me and my music, this would be the deluxe version of what we've just presented to people on that first 6-song LP and the full-length LP. We weren't finished, you know, giving you what we were doing. You know, it felt like, in retrospect, that those first 3 albums, really, through Buenos Noches, were kind of a trilogy of expression. There was a lot woodier stuff going on in that, a lot more, you know, kind of mountain influenced music and recording and instrumentation arrangements. And then when we get to later with If There Was a Way, we brought in the Hammond B3, Skip Edwards and you know, Leslie, and a whole different kind of thing. And David Leonard began mixing at that point. So we had a shift on a lot of levels. And I look at If There Was a Way, This Time, and Gone as the next 3 chapters, or next 3 volumes of, well, in this case, musical expression. And Hillbilly Deluxe seemed like you liked Guitars Cadillacs because that was done, you know, on a string and a prayer. And this one, we had all the devices at our disposal.
Deluxe.
Yeah, the deluxe version of what you just hear. Having said all that, let's go ahead and do side 2.